Do you think that Australian miners will be cracking a 4x lager today with the new Prime Minister coming in and reviewing these mining taxes?
Look, I think this morning there is going to be a bit of euphoria at our open surrounding Billiton in particular. But I think it's a positive news flow out of Australia. I think that the previous Prime Minister didn't have quite big popularity that side. And it was welcomed with that announcement. And, you know, that mining tax coming off is definitely going to sort of put Billiton in Australia, Rio Tinto, and obviously filter through to South Africa, putting Billiton on the front foot. So it's very, very good news for the miners this side.
Well, the new Prime Minister is talking about, you know, companies that operate in Australia, they should be paying more to the government and to Australia. So she's creating a little bit of clarity, but yet again, a little bit of confusion. So yes, you're talking about this euphoria, but of course, at the end of the day, she is trying to ensure that she wins the elections later on this year. Deryck.
Exactly, it's 100%. It's a popularity vote at the end of the day. But at this stage, we can only speculate what that tax rate will be in Australia. So yes, obviously she's going to, you know, sort of put the good news on the table there for people to vote for her. But at this stage, you know, the share prices can only speculate what that tax rate will be at the moment. You know, we did indicate sort of the higher end from the previous Prime Minister of the tax rate, and, you know, she did indicate that that tax rate should come down from those levels suggested. So it will be welcome news as the share prices sort of possibly priced in the worst, and, you know, things could possibly get better from here, and you might see a bit of a spike in the share prices.
Well, another show that has been affected by regulation recently is Naspers. We saw those shares down quite severely at the beginning of the week. And of course, its associate company in China, Tencent, also down quite sharply. And it's also about regulation in China and virtual money, it appears.
Yeah, I mean, the virtual money, I think the announcement came as a bit of a surprise, and a lot of market participants sort of reacted on that and tried to trade on the euphoria on the back of that. So you did see a large sell-off. I think the day before the announcement came out, Naspers was trading up at about 285, probably hit about 287, and it fell all the way down to 260 yesterday. I think that the reaction's a little overdone, and I think personally I've got some fundamentally higher targets on it, 330 plus. And I think that it's a nice buying opportunity for those investors.
Even with the uncertainty over these regulations?
I don't think it's going to be much of an impact. I don't see it being a fundamental impact to the business as a whole. I think there is a little bit of an overhang at the moment. But, you know, when stocks run up so quickly like that, you know, they look for a reason to sell off. And when stocks look for a reason to sell off, it gives long-term investors a nice opportunity to buy. So personally, I sort of see that overhang in the market at the moment, but, you know, fundamentally a very small percentage of the underlying earnings that Naspers could deliver going forward. So I'm personally a buyer of it down at that 260 or in the 260 level.
Deryck, what is your view on Avusa? Because we had those annual headline earnings plunging by 40%. So, you know, a lot of pressure coming through for the likes of Avusa. Do you see any change?
Look,
going forward, I mean, it seems like a good buying opportunity if you are bullish about the company.
I agree. I think, you know, they went through a very tough market environment, and the business that they operate in during a crisis that we went through, you know, people are going to cut back on costs, particularly advertising costs. So, you know, I think that they've been through the worst. You know, if you're looking to add it to your portfolio, you're probably looking at bottom of the cycle stuff. You know, the worst is probably in the share price. And if you sort of feel that you're going to see this economic recovery play out going forward, then yeah, I agree. I think it's possibly a nice investment opportunity.
Of course, this is a company that's very reliant on advertising, particularly for the print media, and we do know that the print media doesn't really have the same gravitas that it did have a few years ago. Everyone's looking to new media. Do they have enough in new media, do you think, at Avusa?
Well, they've got to horizontally integrate. I think that they do need to sort of focus their attention on the new media part of the business. But if you just look at it from a broader perspective, I think that the economic cycle is turning, and we're going to start to see some traction. I think earnings generally for most companies are going to start to pick up. And, you know, for companies to pick up in earnings, they need to advertise. So I think that they're nicely placed in a nice segment on the market at the moment. And like I said, I think that the worst is probably in the share price and a nice investment opportunity.